This is NHTV2, North Haven Government Television, a service of North Haven Community Television. The following program is brought to you through the support of the town of North Haven.
Good evening. I'd like to call the January 13, 2022 regular meeting of the North Haven Board of Education to order at 6:35 p.m. Number one on our agenda is our consent agenda, which is the December 9th, 2021 Board of Education regular meeting minutes, the retirement of Joan Falsigno, a Green Acre social worker, resignation of Christine August, our math teacher at North Haven High School, and our maternity leave for Maria Sanzari of our 4-5 ID grade teacher at Ridge. So those are our things. So may I have a motion to approve the consent agenda, including the retirement of Joan Falsigno, the resignation of Christine August, and maternity leave for Maria Sanzari?
So moved. Second.
I'd just like to take a moment to thank especially Joan for all her years here in North Haven Public Schools, so that we really appreciate it and wish her well on her retirement, and we wish Christine well for wherever she may be going, and of course best of luck to Maria. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Motion passes. Next we'll go to our Board of Education student rep reports. Between the two of you, which one would like to start?
I can go first. We both only have one.
Okay, I'm just gonna ask you to speak up.
Okay. The Phoenix, the high school student-run newspaper, was published last month. Anyone can access this paper from the link posted in Dr. Galloway's latest newsletter.
And then the National Honor Society is hosting a book drive this Saturday, January 15th from 12 to 3. Both new and gently used books can be dropped off at North Haven High School drop-off loop.
Oh, really? I didn't know about that one.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Hey Alex, would you mind sharing with the board a little bit about your organization with your toy drive?
Outside of school, I represent a nonprofit, and we recently did a toy drive at North Haven High School, and we were able to collect over 500 gifts for foster children in Connecticut.
Great.
So yeah, we're hopeful. I think our next adventure is a diaper drive, so we're hopefully going to be able to get some more support for that.
Can
Really
I
remarkable.
ask what the name of your nonprofit is?
More Than Likes.
Okay,
Yeah.
that's great. Thank you. Anything else?
No, that's all.
All right, thank you, and welcome back. Next would be my report, which is basically a couple of things I want to talk about. I'm reading my notes because what I'm writing, we have to have what I'm saying, we need to have a motion on, and they wrote it in really big letters for me to read. So, we need to cancel our April Board of Ed meeting due to vacation beginning on Friday, April 15th. Traditionally, the school calendar is voted on in April, but it will be moved up to be discussed at the March regular meeting. So that was one, and also, yep. The other thing is I'd like to propose to the board is an early dismissal day to recognize and say thank you to our teachers and staff. May 27th, which is the day before Memorial Day, and similar to last year, we would like to provide an early dismissal for all students and staff so they can have a longer weekend. Then I'm going to turn the discussion over to Mr. Stirk to talk about our weather-related cancellation on Wednesday, January 5th.
Thank you, Ms. Anderson. So on January 5th was that crazy ice storm last Wednesday, and unfortunately occurred during the arrival of high school and middle school. And unfortunately, the 2-hour delay was called with students and staff on the road. So students got to the building who were riding the bus, and there were a very fair number of students at the middle school and high school that required supervision for a few hours until the roads were safe for us to transport them home, or even for their parents to come pick them up. So a credit to our administration and our staff for really stepping up and working on a canceled day. So in recognition of that, as well as to fairly compensate our staff for being present, because right now they would have to make the day up at the end of the school year. I'm proposing to the board that January 5th not be added to the end of the school year. North Haven always has 181 school days. Required by state law, we only need 180, so we do have that one day to play with. Again, any snow days in the future, we're going to have to make up. However, if January 5th, we could forgive that day potentially, that would be really nice for our teachers, for how hard they worked. Even the elementary school teachers, they were up and down from a 2-hour delay to a cancellation, and it was a tough day. So any questions or discussion around that as well?
I think it's a great idea.
Me too. I fully support it.
Things happen.
Okay, so I need a motion to add several motions to the agenda. May I have a motion to add the calendar change to the agenda, the approval of early dismissal for students and staff?
This one first.
Okay, I have to do one, okay.
Get that motion first.
I have to do this, so may I have a motion to add a motion to the agenda concerning changes to the 2021-2022 school calendar?
So moved.
So, second.
Okay, bear with me. Okay, so now I need to make a vote on that, right?
Mhm.
Yep. So may I have a motion to approve the change in calendar from the cancellation of our April Board of Ed meeting?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, may I have a motion to approve an early dismissal for students and staff on Friday, May 27th, 2022?
So moved.
Second?
Second?
Any discussion?
I think this is a great idea. I just want to say I fully support this. Our teachers work so hard, and this has been a really tough year. So I fully support this.
Yeah, we think it's a nice thing to give to both our students and staff, and especially having a long weekend for Memorial Day. So, and we wanted to bring it out now, this early, so that they
People
can
can plan.
plans could be made if anyone was going away.
It's been highly talked about in other districts in different forums, so you guys are setting a great example.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes. And may I have a motion to approve a reduction of one school day equaling 180 days to the 2021-2022 school calendar?
So moved.
Second. Discussion. For many years, I think we're one of the few districts, I don't know how many other districts do that, we add extra days to our year. We have that minimum 180, and we always add 1 or 2 extras, and I think this is exactly where it has helped to be able to do this. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion passes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you for the big letters. Next we'll go to a report of standing committees, ACES.
So I had my first ACES meeting today. It was a great meeting. We talked a lot about they're switching their strategy for PPE over from surgical masks to N95 and KN95 masks. They ended their year with $4.4 million in the black, but they're only calling a $1.1 million surplus because they transferred $3.1 million into their capital funds account, which is great, good for them. Let's see. They are seeing a plateau in COVID cases over the past week, so that's good news. And they're taking applications for magnet schools from now until February 28th. And they're also changing their marketing strategy for recruiting new teachers to include lawn signs, billboards, commercials, and a career fair coming up in March. That's ACES.
Great. Curriculum instruction and planning. Are you going to speak on that, Melinda, or one of the members?
We don't have a report tonight, but we'll have it next month.
Okay, thank you. New Haven Education Foundation?
May I speak on this?
Mm-hmm.
So the foundation met virtually yesterday. They welcomed a new North Haven High School student representative to the meeting. His name is Andre Ohanian. In addition, they discussed, he was all dressed up for hockey too, and people were kind of know that. In addition, they discussed the details around a potential comedy night fundraiser, which is scheduled for later in 2022. The foundation will also requested to speak to the administrators at an upcoming admin council meeting to just let them know about we have a lot of new administrators in different spots as well. So let them know about the foundation as well as to increase efforts to get teacher requests for grants out there too. And the board also discussed that they'd like to come to future Board of Education meetings to discuss the foundation in more detail. And after speaking to Anita and confirming with Bernie Pellegrino, they will be presenting at the March meeting and periodically 3 times a year or so moving forward.
Okay, thank you. Policy committee.
We did not meet.
We did not have a meeting. Okay, we have a lot of work to do starting now, right? And it's budget season. And I know PTA council is next week.
Yes.
Okay, next we can go into staff communications. So we'll start with Mr. Sturk's report.
Thank you. I'm just going to let, Jen's gonna be my clicker. She has to share her screen. Thanks, Jen. So tonight I have a few slides that I hope will summarize the most recent changes to the COVID guidance for schools, as well as interscholastic sports. So NHPS will, as we always have, be adhering to the guidelines and mandates set forth by the Department of Health and the State Department of Education, as we've done since the onset of the pandemic. Go ahead, Jen. This slide is just a list of COVID positive individuals disaggregated by school. Approximately 18% of all students and staff have tested positive for COVID since January 3rd. So it's a high number right now, but you can see the delineation per school. Go ahead, Jen. So with the rise in COVID cases, the district has seen an increase in requests for students to learn remotely and not attend in-person instruction. The State Department of Education has set forth guidance and then doubled down on that guidance as well recently for remote learning. And these guidelines haven't changed since the beginning of the year. So remote learning can only be offered in the following situations. Students must be in isolation or quarantine. You can offer remote learning for localized outbreaks within a school or a specific district. And in the very rare circumstances, if a student is cohabitating with an immunocompromised household member, then they can submit some paperwork in conjunction with their physician, and we review it on our end and make a decision from there. Thanks, Jen. So contact tracing within the school setting has been discontinued throughout the district. So as a result, screen and stay is also null and void at this point. But the sheer number of students and staff who are testing positive at this time really makes contact tracing virtually impossible to manage. You know, I really thank our admin staff and our nursing staff. They really brought it to the load when the numbers got high and we were contact tracing. So I can't thank them enough for that. But our nurses can now return to providing direct care to students and really focus on the early identification of COVID-19. Thanks, Jen. So the isolation period for COVID-19, for COVID positive individuals has lessened. I'm sorry, Jen, go back one. Yep, thank you. Has lessened to 5 days. Individuals can return on day 6 if asymptomatic or if their symptoms have significantly improved. And then the quarantine guidelines have not changed for people who are close contacts, but have not tested positive. Fully vaccinated individuals do not need to quarantine unless they experience symptoms, and those who are unvaccinated or partially vaccinated must quarantine for those 5 days from exposure and can return on day 6 if they are asymptomatic. And again, a test is strongly recommended. Thanks, Jim. We will accept confirmation of a positive individual through the use of home tests. However, we cannot accept rapid and home tests at this time for negative tests. All right.
Can I just go back to that?
Yep.
I'm a little confused. You said you'll accept them, but you can't accept them for negative.
We accept that they're positive. If they're negative, we need an antigen test.
Okay.
Can I ask a question?
Sure.
What if a student is out sick, but they haven't had a close contact or anything, like how do they come back to school? They have to automatically wait 5 days?
No, we recommend them being seen by a doctor and possibly getting tested. Because what we were told by DPH is any symptom at this point, you should
Right.
probably stay out and be seen by a doctor or that's why we're distributing the home test as well.
Right.
Home test.
So if a kid is homesick, they have to have a doctor's note to come back?
They do not have to have a doctor's note.
Okay.
But don't we have a policy that if their student's out longer than, say, I don't recall, is it 3 days in a row or even before COVID?
Yeah.
3 days in a row, we need, or 5 days, we need a doctor's note.
Correct. But if it's,
But if,
that's not COVID related per
Okay.
se.
okay.
All right, athletics. CIC released its updated guidance early this week. Moving forward, all quarantines and isolations, as well as close contacts, will follow the most recent State Department of Ed guidelines that were released January 3rd. And prior to this release, we were still operating on the old guidelines where it was 10-day quarantine. And now CIC has dropped that down to 5 to match, and it's been very helpful, so we don't have to go through 2 sets of guidance. Thanks, Jim. And the CIC return to play protocol for individuals or students who are COVID positive. This has been utilized throughout the school year, and that will remain in place for middle school and high school athletics. However, the district will discontinue the use of the gradual return to play for PE classes and for recess for students who are returning from COVID-19. So that's really the update. Any questions or? A lot of things have changed in the last couple of days, so I thought last couple of weeks actually, so I thought it'd be helpful to kind of review it all.
Does anyone have any questions or comments on COVID? Those that are teachers or in other institutions, we're pretty much following the same guidelines now? Yeah, they're following the same. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Assistant Superintendents Report, Melinda McKenna?
Have one, thank you.
Okay. Now, I did not know if you had one being, because you shouldn't be on Zoom right now.
Okay.
Director of Student Services Report?
Sure. So 7 special education teachers are participating in a training called Orton-Gillingham. Orton-Gillingham is a direct, explicit, multisensory, and prescriptive way to teach literacy when reading, writing, and spelling is difficult for students. Upon completion of the training, the teachers will have additional expertise in providing reading instruction to students. And this type of reading instruction works well for students who are diagnosed with dyslexia. And transition night, so parents of students who have an IEP and transitioning to kindergarten, 6th grade, and 9th grade will have the opportunity to learn more about each grade. We'll do the virtual nights again that I've done the past 2 years. The 6th grade one is coming up at the end of January. 9th grade is in February, and then kindergarten is the first week in March. So flyers will be sent home to families probably about 2 weeks prior to the event. And that's all.
Can I ask a quick question about the Orton-Gillingham training?
Sure.
What levels will that benefit? Is that across middle school, high school, or everybody?
So out of the 7, 6 are elementary special ed teachers, and I have 1 middle school teacher.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Any other questions for Jen? You're familiar, I saw you were familiar with what
Orton Gillingham, oh, it's excellent.
Yeah, when you saw that. Okay, Director of Finance Operations and Human Resources, Howard?
Thank you. As my report indicates, the budget continues to remain on track. There are only 2 new items of note to report. The first one, we added 1 item, the full-time non-certified has a large negative balance of $167,000. That is an encumbrance issue that we are working through and will have corrected by the end of January. And then also all the other balances stayed stable in the sense of they either didn't change or changed very little, except for the tuition, which we've added, again, the sped tuition, we added a balance to that. Again, it's still significantly under what we're expecting to get back, so it's not an issue at this point in time. I would then ask the board if there's any questions regarding the transfers that we're, for the month, none? Operational items, the new van for the food service area is being delivered within the next couple weeks. The check's been sent, it's purchased, it's just a matter of them getting it up here. We actually got them to send it up here for at no cost to us. So they're transporting it up here, and because there was gonna be a cost involved, and we haggled with them and got it down, so they're doing it for free, so free is always good. Reserve accounts, I'm sorry I couldn't report on those. I couldn't get the reports from the town. I should have those within the next week so that I'll be able to send that out directly to the board. But I do want to report on one thing that relates to that, is that Everside Health Clinic that I had discussed at a prior meeting. I had left a little time in between, just so we didn't inundate our employees with another survey saying, you already did a survey, let's do another survey. So what I did is I sent out the video with it has a voiceover, and we sent that out today along with a 4-question survey. It's 4 basic questions, and I'm just gonna read them to you just so you understand what the questions are gonna be coming back in, and they're gonna have that hopefully back in by January 31st, so I can report on this in the next meeting. The first question is gonna be, all services provided on site at the Wellness Center will be free to you and your spouse or dependents. You will have no co-pays or deductibles or out-of-pocket for medical services provided by the center. How will this affect your decision to use the center for services? The four answers they can have are, I will definitely use the center, I will be more likely to use the center, I may affect my decision somewhat, I will have no effect on my decision. Second question is, even if you have a primary care physician, would you use the center for urgent or immediate care based on its location and knowing there is no cost? Yes, no, or maybe are your 3 options. Even if you have a primary care physician, would you still use the wellness center for tests, COVID, flu shots, immunizations, blood draws, medications, and wellness screenings because of its proximity, extended hours, and the $0 deductible copay or deductible and copay? Yes, no, or maybe. And would you use the on-site prescription drug dispensary, mail order, and/or retail program with the center, knowing the cost will be 0 to you and your family? Yes, no, or maybe. So I think those are the 4 key questions that we're trying to get the answers to. So I didn't want to have the whole list that we had before, so I'm trying to keep it as simple as possible. It's only a 14-minute video, so hopefully they'll watch it, and so I'll be able to report on that next month. One additional item to this is the town is also considering this, and I've heard from ACEs that the town has told them that they're very excited to join this. Now, I haven't heard directly from the town that says they're going to do it, but that seems to imply that they are going to head down that path as well. So they would be part of this.
Can you just refresh my memory a little bit? Is the health office gonna be in North Haven?
60 United Drive, it's over by Sackett Point Road, I believe it's where it is.
Oh, okay.
They're building it right now, and so one of the things they're trying to evaluate and base their decision on is they want to add an examination room. And that's gonna be based on if we join or we don't join, because they wanna make sure the capacity is at the right capacity so that they can live up to the expectations that they're looking to do.
Howard, if the town joins, does that lower our buy-in?
It doesn't lower our cost, cause it's still gonna be around the $325,000 that I had talked about per year. They'll have their own costs associated with theirs, but what it does is it will lower the overall operating cost, so that $325 may drop a little bit. There's
After
no
the initial
analysis.
investment to get it
The initial investment is still gonna be there though. Any other questions on that?
Mention something. I just wanted to mention that Howard has graciously stepped up to support the town due to some of their staffing shortages in the finance department over there. He's been working with Valerie and Mr. Frieda's office to help support on the town side as well. So I just wanted to recognize him and say thank you.
Howard.
Thank you, that's nice.
When do we present our budget to the town?
February 5th, I believe. Senior night.
Yes, it is.
Anything else, Howard?
That's all I have.
Then may I have a motion to approve the monthly financial report, including the recommended transfer?
So moved?
Any further discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? So we have no public here tonight, I don't see any public comments. So I think I beat Wes. May I have a motion to adjourn the January 13th, 2022 regular board meeting of the Board of Ed?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.
Good night, everybody.
Good night, Joe.
Good night.
Night, Mary.
Good night, Marie.
The preceding program is brought to you in part through a grant from the town of North Haven. Watch town meetings or other videos on demand at nhtv.com.